I normally go just short, petite. I'm not sure why we got matched.
What is up, besties, and welcome back finally to our next Married at First Sight update, recap, review. Okay, about 7 months ago, now we covered episode 1 and 2 of season 12, and now we're going to get into episode 3 and 4. So to remind you briefly, in case you haven't watched the last video in a minute or you just haven't seen it in general, we saw these 4 couples behind me get married. There's about to be a lot more couples. That's why there's a lot of space. That's why you're kind of far from me. It's so you could see everybody, so I don't have to keep inserting the pictures, okay? So Karina and Paul, they unfortunately were not married at first sight. They knew each other. They dated briefly online before Paul ghosted Karina. Karina was in her feelings about it a little bit, but they moved past it. They're doing well. Above me, we have Dave and Jamie. Love them. It was practically love at first sight. They're getting on really, really well. We said that this was probably our favorite couple collectively. After watching the first 2 episodes, of course, there's about 30 more to go, so we'll see. And over here, we have the couples we hate, okay? Lauren and Elliot, they seemed like a good match because they both had awful, terrible values, but Elliot doesn't really like Lauren because Elliot wanted somebody he could control and manipulate, someone he didn't have to spend money on, and Lauren is not that. He said he wanted somebody about 25, and she is 37.
Creep squad?
Lauren was very rude to the girls in the first meeting. Not a huge fan of her, but also not a huge fan of the way Elliot has been treating her. Okay, and here we have Doofus and Katie, Tim and Katie. Love Katie, beautiful woman. Tim is a
Be nice.
Tim is an idiot. Don't know why he came on this experiment. Don't know why he thinks he's top. Don't know why he thinks he's so hot, but he does think he is. So that is your brief recap. If you want to know more in depth, you should have watched the last video, like I said, but if you didn't, I will have it linked in the description so you can go back, watch it, and then come back and watch this. So you can stay clocked in as we recap the entire season, okay? So in episode 3, we start off by catching up with Karina and Paul on their honeymoon. They are genuinely very comfortable with each other. There's lots of touching, lots of kissing, lots of affection, and Paul is wearing hoochie daddy shorts and Karina is loving it. We then circle back to our faves, Jamie and Dave, also on their honeymoon. They are also having a great time enjoying each other's company. However, the same cannot be said for Lauren and Elliot, okay? Lauren seems like she is really trying to give it her best shot, give it her everything, but I cannot say that Elliot is doing the same. Elliot truly thinks he is the best and hottest thing since sliced bread, and I couldn't disagree more. Honestly, I couldn't. Mind you, in the last episode, we saw a little brief glimpse of Elliot trying to leave, so we'll see how much longer this couple lasts. And it immediately goes terribly because Lauren is genuinely trying to talk to this buffoon of a man, and she's making general conversation. She asks him if there's anything that he would like to change about being married so far, and he says, besides the wife? And then he laughs like he just said something super hilarious.
Anything that you would change about married life so far?
Apart from the wife.
Be serious.
Elliot then says that he does not need to learn anything from the experts. He actually could teach the experts a thing or two.
You stupid.
And at first, I think Lauren was laughing because she's like, oh yeah, whatever. And then she realized he was serious, so then she stopped laughing. Why the hell they brought this man on the show will always be a mystery to me, especially because they're trying to come off as if this is a real show. Like they are really trying to link people up based on compatibility rather than linking people up for drama. And Elliot rounds off this awful scene by telling Lauren that she talks too much.
You do a lot of talking. No, I'm only kidding. I'm just teasing you. Go on.
If a man ever said that to me, I'm immediately punching you in your throat so you can't speak again.
Damn.
Because why would you fix your lips to say that to me? Professional yapper, it's in the description. That's who I am. Also, you just met her. Of course she's going to... Anyways, moving on. We then catch up with another cursed couple on their honeymoon, Katie and Tim. I'm very confused as to why Tim is still here, despite saying very early on that he was not attracted to Katie whatsoever in any way, shape, or form. He clearly has no intention of trying to work on this attraction or pursuing any sort of romantic relationship with her, so again, I don't understand why he is still here. He is trying way too hard to be a nice guy, to be a good guy, and it's clear that he's not. And he looks like a thumb. He looks like those thumb creature things from Spy Kids. Yet he insists on speaking about Katie's looks and her body in a negative way. He's not doing this overtly, he's doing it very covertly, but if you can read between the lines, you know exactly what the f he is saying. When they check into their honeymoon suite, we see that there is a bathtub that is encased by glass instead of like a door and like, you know, a wall. It's glass, which obviously if you're on your honeymoon, you're gonna love that. You could give your partner a little show, you know what I mean? But obviously Tim is not feeling that because he does not like Katie. He doesn't even respect her as an individual, as a human being. So when they check in and they see this, Katie is a little bit cheeky and she says that he can enjoy the show, you know, like while she takes a bath and all that.
That's glass.
Wow.
I mean, you can enjoy the show, but it's a bit much.
In a little interview with his matching toddler set, Tim makes it clear that he would not voluntarily want to see Katie naked, and he thanks God that the bathroom has curtains.
The bath is very open. I was worried. Thank God for the blinds. That would have been a bit confronting.
Here's the thing, okay? I don't think Katie should have made that joke. I think you know this man is not attracted to you. You know he doesn't want you. So don't make those types of jokes. I think that it was kind of inappropriate on Katie's part. However, I can understand why she is trying to break the ice, trying to keep things light and fun and fresh. And of course, if you just got married, you want your person to be sexually attracted to you. So I can understand why she's doing it. However, I don't think she should have done it. I think knowing how he feels about her, Katie is ultimately just setting herself up to get her feelings hurt. And I really hate that for her because she doesn't deserve that. And even Lauren doesn't deserve that. And I don't like Lauren. Moving on. I will say, I think production sucks and they're extremely messy for setting them up in this suite that has glass instead of doors and curtains. I think that it was done very intentionally and I don't like how they're seemingly going out of their way to make Tim uncomfortable to where it makes Katie feel bad about herself. I don't like that at all. Of course, it's a honeymoon suite, so there's only really one place to sleep. There's one bed. And Tim quite literally grimaces at the thought of having to share a bed with Katie. It's just devastating. It really is devastating. And it's clear that Katie is just trying to keep herself from breaking down whenever she has to talk directly to the camera about it. Whereas when she's in the moment with Tim, she's trying to keep it lighthearted and fun and fresh because she doesn't want to make him feel more uncomfortable. And she's also trying to get some sort of reassurance from him that unfortunately is never going to come. She's not going to get that. But we are moving on from the honeymoons and we are now about to get into the next wedding, which is between Awhina and Adrian. All right, besties. So like I said, we're moving on to Awhina and Adrian. As you can see, I've placed them here because I really like Awhina. Indifferent about Adrian. He doesn't necessarily give me the best vibe. He's closer to that side. But a very interesting fact about this couple is they are both twins. But Awhina is in fact a single mother, something that Adrian obviously is not.
I'm Awhina. I'm 30. I'm from Perth. I'm a single mum and a twin.
But being twins seems to be a big part of both of their identities, so that seems like a driving factor in why the experts paired them together. They say that when you're a twin, you have a special bond that other people cannot comprehend unless they are also twins. I wouldn't know, I'm not a twin, but I can understand how that would be true as growing up I was friends with twins, and yeah, they definitely do have a special bond. Like I mentioned, Awhina is a single mother, but her and her baby daddy, they were together for 15 years, which is a very long time. So she's clearly a very loyal and very committed partner. She also seems to have a real fear of being alone, being without a romantic connection. And I think that that could possibly be a problem for this type of experiment because an evil man would see that and take advantage of that and know how to manipulate her into staying with them longer than she really should. At this point, again, I don't really understand why they were matched together besides the fact that they are both twins. And to me, that doesn't really seem like a good enough reason if you ask me, but you didn't really ask me. So we'll get on to Adrian. Adrian, in the pre-wedding interview thing, admits that he was the problem in his previous relationships. So he claims to have very intentionally spent the last 4 years single to ensure that he is the best version of himself when he enters into a new relationship.
Why do you think things haven't worked in the past?
I think because myself. Spent a lot of time by myself in the last 3-4 years. I just learned self-awareness.
I don't know if he really did this, but he claims to have done it. And I will say that staying single when you're young for a substantial amount of time, I think it can be very beneficial. It allows you to work on yourself and also allows you to figure out what you really want and what you will and will not accept from a partner. It kind of gives you that extra boost of self-confidence and reassurance from yourself, which I think, again, a beautiful thing. I don't know if he actually did it. I don't know if I believe anything that he says. I don't know. He just gives like liar and disingenuous vibes to me. But Adrian says that he just wants to be understood. He wants to have a partner who is equally comfortable and confident in themselves. However, there was no mention of him wanting or feeling comfortable being a step parent and helping raise someone else's child. So that's setting off red flags for me, not necessarily because of Adrian. I don't fault anybody who doesn't want to raise a child or help raise someone else's child. That's your prerogative. That's your personal agenda. However, I do think that the experts had an obligation to make sure that whoever Awhina got paired with was happy to be a step parent and more than willing to do so. At their wedding, it becomes extremely clear that I am not the only one who doesn't know what the hell Adrian and his brother are saying half of the time. Like, there's subtitles whenever they speak.
You might want it to look good, be late.
And I think that's telling. I don't know what this accent is, but it's hard for me to understand. I don't know why. So these two are immediately attracted to each other the moment they lay eyes on one another. Like, Awhina quite literally says that she thinks Adrian is way too hot.
You're actually way too hot. I'm actually not happy.
She says that everyone's gonna want her husband.
Be fucking for real.
Not me. Personally, not me. However, her saying this right now makes me think that she is going to let him get away with a lot of things, and their relationship is going to rely a lot on physical intimacy and attraction rather than the emotional connection that's supposed to be the foundation of a marriage, right? I know you're thinking it too. But both Awhina and Adrian are absolutely excited when they see that they are both twins.
There's two of them.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm squealer, sorry.
Their vows are really quite sweet. However, in Awhina's vows, I was expecting her to mention her son, and she didn't.
Girl, don't play.
However, in Adrian's vows, he makes a quick whip, like a joke about not having kids. Like, oh, don't worry, I don't have kids, as if that would be something that she would be concerned and worried about.
Don't worry, I don't have kids.
Wow.
This places fear and doubts in Awhina's mind and in her twin sister's mind about how this relationship is going to work, because she is committed to Adrian and she claims that he is drop dead gorgeous. So whether she is scared or not, she is going to have to tell him about her son. She is just trying to find the right opportunity. However, I don't know if there's ever a quote unquote right opportunity to tell the man, the stranger that you just married, that you have a son that he's gonna have to help you raise. I don't think there's ever a right time for that. But if I were her, I would have gotten it out of the way like immediately. But the reception seems to be going fairly well for them. They are just speaking about surface level things though, and their siblings are also doing the same. So it's like things are going well, but they're just having like casual, cordial conversation that you could have with anybody, not necessarily a conversation that you would want to have with the person who you just married. At least for Awhina, Adrian seems happy with the conversation. They are in fact getting along well. However, the subject of Awhina's son seems to be a big elephant in the room. This is insane to me because, like I said earlier, I really think that this was on production to tell him that she had a child and to make sure that he was okay with that before the wedding, rather than having this awkward tension where there shouldn't be. If he's not comfortable with it, they should have never been matched in the first place. It's doing everyone a disservice, but especially the innocent child who didn't ask for any of this. Also, I understand it's a TV show, they're doing this for ratings, for drama, but I think when you're doing something like this, you don't need to add anything to the mix. It's dramatic enough for people to marry strangers and try to merge their lives. I don't think you needed the child to be like this hanging dark cloud over their relationship. I don't like that. Again, like I said, Awhina seemed to be waiting for the right moment to tell him, but that opportunity is snatched from her when her parents make a speech at the reception and they mention their grandchild. They mention how wonderful of a mother Awhina is.
Bea is an amazing mum and her son is always her priority.
And instead of focusing on the fact that it's like, oh wow, she's a really good parent, Adrian just hears that she's a parent. And it's like his whole world collapses. You can see it in his face. This is the thing. I don't think her parents had any sort of malicious intent behind it. I think they just genuinely think, yes, she's a great mother and that's one of her amazing qualities. However, because Adrian's family didn't know, it kind of felt like Awhina was put on blast a little bit, and it allowed her to come across as a little bit disingenuous, like she was lying about something, like she was hiding something, when in reality, I don't think that was her intention. But because she didn't come up and was upfront about it in the beginning, it definitely came off that way. Awhina actually interrupts her parents' speech to pull Adrian out so they can go and talk about it. She decides that that's now a good time to speak with Adrian alone.
Before we move on, can I have a time out? Pause. Can I borrow Adrian?
I do feel bad for her in this moment, but I also feel like production or Awhina should have told Adrian before this moment. And I also feel a little bit bad for Adrian. Just a little bit. You'll never catch me feeling that bad for a man, but a little bit bad for him because nobody talked to him about this to see if it was something he was comfortable with in the first place. So I think this was truly on production's part. I don't think either of them are necessarily to blame. Truly a production error, and it seems like a very intentional error at that. So when they are talking privately, Awhina makes it clear that she feels like one of her best qualities, if not her best quality, is the fact that she's a great mom. She apologizes for Adrian being blindsided with that information, and Adrian says that he doesn't know how he feels about it all, that he needs some time to kind of process the information, so then they head back inside. In an interview, Adrian says that Awhina having a son is not ideal, and he says that he would have liked to share the experience of having a first child together.
Yeah, it wasn't ideal, it's not ideal. Yeah, if I could have it my way, I'd like to have that first with someone.
I think these are his feelings. I'm not going to fault him for his feelings. I think production is messy for pairing him with someone who has a child when they weren't 100% sure that he was comfortable being a step parent. And then Adrian says something that pulls me back a little bit when he says that had they met in the real world and he found out that she had a kid, he would not have pursued things further.
Had it been in the outside world, you know, and I met her and I knew her and I knew she had a kid, I wouldn't have entertained it in that sense.
Let me tell you something.
But since they're in the experiment, he's gonna thug it out. He's gonna give it a try. Yeah, I'm gonna call it right now. I don't think this relationship is going to work, and I don't think the experts paired them together thinking that the relationship was going to work. They have set Adrian, Awhina, and her son up for failure. Adrian makes it clear to Awhina and her friends and her family that he is committed to her, that he is going to try and build a relationship despite the bomb that was just dropped on him. I'm not really sure what this means. I don't personally think that he will ever be okay with being a stepfather and having a stepson. I don't think that's anything that he wants or ever saw for himself. So I don't think he's ever going to be okay with it. However, I think for the sake of being on the show, he's going to suppress those feelings and focus on everything else. But that will always be something that like rears its ugly head. And in my mind, it seemed, I don't know, I feel like he could bring that back up and throw that in her face at some point, whether intentionally or unintentionally. But after that, things seem to go well. They have a lovely first dance, you can see, and that's the end of their wedding. So on to the next wedding for this episode between Billy and Sierah. So our next wedding, like I mentioned, Sierah and Billy right here. And Billy is a very confident, very self-assured softie, someone who is a self-described mama's boy.
I think everybody would say I'm a mama's boy.
Brother. Now, y'all know how we feel about mama's boys over here. Typically not a big fan because of everything that comes with mama's boys. Boundaries issues, they expect you to do everything for them. They're not looking for a partner, they're looking for a replacement for their mother. However, this one time only, we'll give a man the benefit of the doubt and we'll see what he's like. Billy says that his father was not around growing up, and so that's the reason that he and his mom are very, very close, and that's the same reason that he, his siblings, and his mom are very close. They're like a little tight unit, package deal. They're very much always there for one another, which I think is really sweet when it's described that way. Sierah is an absolutely gorgeous woman, drop dead gorgeous woman, but she's honest, and she says that she is quite insecure. She says that she is very guarded, and to me, those things aren't going to go well. I think that this is a couple that unfortunately things were kind of doomed from the very beginning, but not the couple together. I think her participation in it just because of everything that she says, she has deep fears of abandonment and rejection. And she says that she has never been in a long-term relationship because anytime things start to get a little bit serious, she starts to sabotage the relationship as like some sort of self-fulfilling prophecy. So then things don't end up working out, even if they seem like they're going to work out.
Well, I've never had a long-term adult relationship before. Big fear of abandonment and rejection. I know that I do subconsciously self-sabotage.
If that's the habit and the pattern that you're in, and she hasn't mentioned that she's done any work to resolve this or work on things, she just mentions that she knows these things about herself and yet she wants to be married. So it's not looking good for Billy, unfortunately. With all of these things that she has going on, in my opinion, this is one of the worst shows that she could ever participate in. One of the worst things for her to be a part of. Because it seems like this would only amplify all of her deepest insecurities, all of her deepest wounds, because in my opinion, she has not done the work on herself. And this type of experiment, we saw Lauren get rejected very, very quickly. So if that were to happen to Sierra, I don't know how she would come back from that. But the morning of their wedding, all Sierra seems to be able to talk about is her insecurities, which is devastating. Because like I mentioned, she's absolutely beautiful. She's very successful. She's so gorgeous. She seems to have such a fun and carefree personality, but she says that's kind of the vibe she gives off. Very confident, very self-assured. That's not how she really feels about herself on the inside. And all of that to me is a very clear sign that she is yet another person who the experts should not have picked for this experiment, because it has the potential to destroy what little self-worth she does have. However, their ceremony is absolutely beautiful. They both look stunning. I personally love Billy's choice in a lighter colored suit. I think it went really well with the whole pink theme and all the flowers they had going on. And Billy actually proposes to her at the wedding, which I thought was really sweet and endearing. I don't know. Billy's winning me over little by little, guys.
You look well nice.
So you?
The dress is insane. Will you marry me?
I guess.
Their vows are so sweet and they mirror each other quite well, specifically about the importance of family, romance, but more so companionship. So they talk about that they want obviously a husband and a wife, but more so they want a best friend. There was truly not one dry eye in the room when Billy was giving his vows. Specifically when he spoke about his previous insecurities and heartbreak that he has worked on because of his father-related wounds. And Sierra says that Billy's vulnerability is encouraging her to give that same level of vulnerability in return, something she does not usually do.
This is because a very important person in my life, my biological father, was never really there for me growing up. This has made me keep my walls up in order to protect myself from getting hurt.
The reception goes off without a hitch, and they are acting as if they have been together for years instead of for minutes. So I don't know, maybe Sierra might prove me wrong. Maybe this might all work out. But how many times have I been wrong, y'all? Never, Jada, never. Exactly. They are both very comfortable, very happy with each other, and Sierra makes it clear that the attraction is there. She is hoping that their honeymoon will get a little freaky because she likes her some Billy. The next day, Adrian and Awhina, we are circled back to them, and they seem to have been getting along quite well. And Awhina claims that they have had some of those deeper conversations and they're still getting along, so she's quite hopeful. It kills me that damn near every time Adrian speaks, there are subtitles on the screen because it seems like they knew that we also would not have any idea what the hell he was saying. Their honeymoon is going well. They went to Fiji and they're just having a lot of fun with each other, and the attraction is definitely there. They're jumping all over each other. And then we circle back to the couple from hell, Lauren and Elliot. At a dinner on their honeymoon, Elliot continues to voice his concerns and ultimately what I interpret to be his disgust for Lauren, which is so weird because although I find her repulsive, let me rephrase that. Although I don't particularly like Lauren's brand of feminism, I don't think that she has done anything to him for him to feel disgusted by her. And yet he has been ready to jump ship and end the relationship for the last 2 episodes, which is saying a lot because we are only talking about the 3rd episode of the season. Elliot is extremely judgmental and he nitpicks every single thing that Lauren says and does. When he asks her about kids, I need something to like help me point. But when he asks her about kids, how many kids would she want, that kind of thing, she said that she would only want 1 child because having more than that would make life a little bit harder.
Do you want to have kids?
I'd like to have 1 child, not
multiple.
She enjoys traveling, and it would be hard to do that with multiple kids. And she likes her car, so then you have to get a bigger car. Things that she just does not want to do. Elliot says that those things prove that their values are not aligned. He says that the last thing he's worried about are handbags or expensive holidays. Lauren says, wait a minute. Who said anything about expensive holidays? Who said anything about handbags? Elliot says, well, I just saw your handbag.
You know, handbags, expensive holidays.
I never said anything about handbags or expensive holidays.
I just saw your handbag.
Okay, so this is what it is. Lauren makes you feel inferior. Lauren does not make you feel like the macho big dog man of the house that you want to feel like. So instead of just voicing that, you are belittling her and demeaning her and making it seem like you guys would not get on for other reasons. You guys wanted exactly the same things. I think that you guys were a perfect match, a match made in hell, but a match nonetheless. It's truly giving that Elliot does not want to actually have family plans with another person and work on things with another person. He wants a woman who will do whatever he wants without question. Like, if you are cheap and you are broke, just say that. Just say that. How do you want a traditional woman, but you don't have traditional money?
Quickly.
That doesn't make any sense. And in this moment, I am going to stick up for Lauren. I know, shocking, I am. She's 37 years old. She's an entrepreneur. She has gotten accustomed to a certain way of life, and I can understand how having a bunch of kids isn't super important to her and wouldn't be conducive to the life that she's built for herself. I hate that he is trying to reduce her worth to her expensive taste or how many children she wants. Elliot then tells her not to get defensive.
Don't get defensive. Like,
hello? What? You are attacking her. You are belittling her, you are demeaning her, and then you're telling her not to get defensive? How could she not get defensive? What the f***? Elliot says that nice things like handbags and expensive vacations are not a necessity.
there's some superficiality there, and like, that's of no interest to me. You know, handbags, expensive holidays, they're in the same category, in my opinion. Like, non-essentials category.
To you, they're not. But also notice how he says nice things. So when she determines that they're nice things, they're not worth it. But when you determine that they're nice things, they're worth it all of a sudden. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. But also to you, because to me, handbags and nice vacations are essential. Absolutely they are. If I, as a single woman, am giving myself these nice things, then why the hell wouldn't I expect my partner to be capable of giving me those same things that I already give myself? It's not like I'm asking for something I cannot provide. I'm asking you to match what I already provide for myself. Having a partner, I'm not saying that financially having a partner is supposed to improve your life, but it's supposed to improve your life. So if it's not improving, why would I have you around? Why would I hold my partner to a lower standard than I hold myself? Especially as a woman. What the fuck? Lauren says that Elliot is being mean, and I completely agree. He's being a asshole. Lauren then calls him out, and I am so here for it.
Put your hope and trust into the experts. Take 3 months of work.
Well, I said...
Like, you're better off going down to the local pub or the phone box and meeting some rando.
Elliot tells her that she should be with someone older because that would be a better fit for her, and so Lauren calls him out again. She says what we are all thinking. Elliot wants someone young, dumb, and pretty that he can control.
And I should be with, like...
A 20-year-old. Someone who's just young and dumb.
Yeah.
And looks pretty.
So after this conversation, of course, the next morning, Elliot wakes up and he decides he's leaving. He claims that it is because he and Lauren are fundamentally incompatible. Lauren tries to convince him to give it a shot because he hasn't thus far, but Elliot isn't having it whatsoever. He lists off his non-negotiables once again that he claims Lauren does not meet, and it's all superficial bullshit. Like someone younger, 25, someone who wants a big family, someone who exercises like him, someone who isn't into luxury goods.
So what are your non-negotiables? Like,
well, I want someone that's younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
I like 25. I want someone that is like not into superficial things.
I cannot stand the fact that this man keeps repeating that she's so superficial when he is being 10 times more superficial than she has ever been. He pisses me off.
Boom!
I don't know, y'all. I feel like as a grown woman who has expensive tastes, if you don't like it, you don't like it, but don't demean me because of it. If it's not your thing, it's not your thing. Lauren says, okay, yeah, whatever, but we haven't had any deep conversations, so you don't actually know if we are fundamentally incompatible or not. You're just giving up before you ever even really tried. She says, you don't know me at all, but you've made up your mind. And after that, thank God, Lauren stops trying to talk to him in any way. She does not try to talk him into staying. If I were her personally, I would have helped him pack his shit up faster. Get the hell out of my face, right? She doesn't do that though. As he is on his way out, Lauren is just sitting there on the couch watching him leave, minding her business. Elliot decides to take another shot at her, talking about how she's passive aggressive.
You're quite passive aggressive.
Okay.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
What? We then see Elliot outside arguing with production and demanding a sit down to confront the experts about why they would ever pair him with someone like Lauren.
I would love the experts to sit down and explain why they put two people together.
Now, if y'all remember from the last video, I said that I do not like either of them. However, they both seem to be exactly what the other person was asking for. There was no questions about that. So they seemed like a good match. However, it's become apparent that Elliot was not honest with what he requested, because it's not socially acceptable to say that you want to keep a young woman barefoot, pregnant, with low expectations for her life and her future, because her only purpose in life is to fulfill your desires and your happiness. You can't say that. So he said all the other patriarchal typical bullshit and then got mad when he got exactly what he asked for, because she likes nice things and she's 37. Okay. Production is so kind to him despite everything, and they're calling him out in such a kind way despite everything he said and done up until that point.
Do you think you gave it a fair shot, honestly?
I gave it the shot that I said I would.
After 2 days?
The episode ends with Elliot lugging his stuff away and Lauren watching him walk out, leave the premises. This ending of their relationship is not entirely shocking, and I do feel like if Lauren had gotten an adequate match, she would have made things work, because she was determined and very committed to the experiment in a way that Elliot was not. The only person Elliot is committed to is himself. But we're now on to episode 4, besties. So we pick right back up in episode 4 with Lauren and Elliot. They are no more. Elliot has gone. He's left the premises. But maybe he will be making a return. But their relationship is over for sure. Hence the red piece of paper. I'm hoping that piece of paper doesn't fall down. If it does, just act like it didn't and we'll move on. We are now alone in the cabin with Lauren, and she makes it clear that absolutely nobody has heard from Elliot. She says that she was not expecting to have been left alone so early on in the experience. However, she says that Elliot was not her ideal partner either. She did not want him. She would not have picked him.
I mean, Elliot didn't have like all of the other qualities that I asked for.
But because the experts matched them, she was willing to give it a shot, because that was the commitment that she made. So for him to not hold up his end of the bargain was disappointing. However, I personally believe that the best possible thing this man could have done was to leave her. I think that's what this man should do, okay? If he hadn't have left Lauren alone, I truly believe that he would have continued to take cheap shot after cheap shot, breaking down her self-esteem. And she does not deserve that. Lauren says that she does not feel rejected.
I don't really feel rejected. I feel sorry for him.
And I'm so happy to hear that, because I feel like had this been Sierra in this situation, she would have felt rejected and it would have been devastating. It would have been like life-shattering for her. But then we catch back up on honeymoon with our faves, okay, Jamie and Dave, and they're getting along extremely well. It's kind of shocking to me that they have just met. Definitely, they also seem like a couple who have been together for years. Likewise for Sierra and Billy. I was really worried about them because of Sierra's undealt with issues, but they're getting along without concern at this point. Awhina and Adrian have, of course, gotten freaky. They have conquered the sexual intimacy of it all, although they have yet to really dive into those deeper emotional questions and concerns about him being a parent to her son. Call me a prude, okay? Call me old-fashioned, but I personally think that in an experiment like this, getting to know the person is way more important and should take precedent over a physical connection and attraction. But hey, maybe that's just me, and that's why I would never get cast for a ass show like this. Now, I'm not shaming any of the couples who did in fact get freaky or have been intimate. There's no judgment there. That's your husband, that's your wife, right? I'm just thinking about the perspective of Awhina and Adrian, where they have a very big, very pressing issue in their relationship. I would be prioritizing trying to work through that more than I would be prioritizing physical intimacy, because you know the attraction is there. So I'm not shaming anybody. I understand wanting to get intimate with the person who you just married. However, I think I stand by Awhina and Adrian having more pressing issues than, you know, bumping coochies. Moving on. We catch back up with Karina and Paul, also on their honeymoon, and they seem to have worked past any doubts or any concerns that were present at the wedding by Paul's ghosting prior to the experiment, and they are also progressing in their relationship very well. Karina claims that they haven't knocked boots, bumped coochies as of yet.
Definitely got hot in here. There's been no intimacy between Paul and I just yet.
But I think it's gonna happen soon if it hasn't already happened and they just agreed to not talk about it. Now, once again, we ruin the high vibes with thin-lipped Tim and gorgeous Katie. Things seem so extremely awkward between the two. I would personally just leave. I would leave. What is the point in torturing Katie in this way? Katie keeps trying to make playful jokes with him, and the nature of her jokes are primarily sexual, so it's making him uncomfortable. Then find out that the night before, when they were not filming, Tim told Katie his exact physical type, his specific preferences, which are petite, blonde, brunette, and short.
It came up like over dinner that like the preference is petite, blonde, short, or brunette.
Keep in mind, Katie is none of those things. If that is his actual type, I do not know, but it could be that he is just saying these things to make it extremely clear that he is not attracted to Katie whatsoever, or make it clear that he thought that, I don't know, production was gonna match him with someone like Lauren or someone like Sierah or someone like Karina. Maybe even literally any of the other wives except for his wife, I think is what he had in his mind. And I genuinely question what is the point of giving all this information besides to hurt her feelings. That's not going to do anything productive. Someone commented on the last Mafs Australia video that Tim being a teacher and having a specific preference for small, short, petite blondes is kind of a red flag. Now, I am not saying that I'm agreeing or disagreeing. I'm just bringing up the comment that somebody else left, and a lot of y'all seem to agree with them. I'm telling you how the people feel about his preference, okay? Let's keep in mind, Tim looks like this. But he's expecting, I don't know any white models. He's expecting thin, white, Gigi Hadid, Bella Hadid. That's what he's expecting. Woo! No, not them, because they're tall. Anyways, moving on. It seems like Katie is begging Tim for a chance. She's begging him to let the attraction grow, and I hate that for her. You should never beg a man to like you. Never. Tim then tries to say, now that the cameras are rolling, that he does not have a physical type, and Katie says, well, that's not true. That's not true. You told me what your type was last night. And he says things that we've already heard, like thin, blah, 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 blah. And then he adds to it, quiet.
You're definitely not judged physically.
I think you mentioned something last night.
Yeah, it's normally, I guess, more like shorter women. It's been blonde, brunette doesn't matter. But I normally probably go quieter women.
Listen, and we're judging hard.
So he likes small, quiet women?
We listen and we judge hard.
I can't quite put my finger on it, but something about this feels like a patriarchal dog whistle. Okay. Tim then villainizes Katie, which I don't even know why he's trying to do this, but he does. And he tries to make it seem like she is at fault for what he said, or like she's lying about what he said, which you're a joke, mate, or whatever the Australians say. He claims that he is trying in this relationship, and I personally do not believe him whatsoever. I think that he is trying to make Katie leave so that he can play the victim and continue the good guy narrative that he seems to define himself by. I also think that Katie, unfortunately, keeps putting herself in these situations to be rejected. I'm not speaking in general because I don't know her life. I'm talking about specifically with Tim, and I hate that for her. This man has said over and over he does not like you, he is not attracted to you, and you keep making jokes about being naked and doing naked things.
What would be your number one thing you want to do today?
Shall we strip off nude and run around the forest?
You do it and I'll just put the blinds up.
I understand that in her mind it's good fun. She's trying to lighten up the mood, but she's setting herself up to get her feelings hurt, and thin-lipped Tim wants no parts of any of these jokes that she's making. We have 2 more weddings this episode, and we're gonna start with Jake and Ashley. All right, so like I said, next up getting married, we have Jake and Ashley. Jake is a very weird, a very quirky type of guy, and that seems to make up the majority of his personality. He portrays himself to be a very romantic, a very sweet guy who has just not been able to find the right person as of yet. He's very high energy, so he's looking for someone who is also high energy, who wants the same things he does out of life, happy relationship, kids, the whole 9 yards, white picket fence type of vibe. Ashley is extremely sweet, she's extremely caring, she's extremely beautiful, and she describes herself as a big kid, so this makes me believe that her and Jake will be a great match. They are also both teachers, so they both understand what that part of life is like for them, and they also understand how each other's desire for children would be amplified by taking care of other people's children day in and day out. So the day of their wedding, Jake's hair looked a mess.
Massively worried about my hair. Existential crisis about my hair today.
And even though he's getting married, his biggest concern seems to be his bad hair day.
Oh, Lord.
No shade. It looks like he did not wash his hair before his wedding. And some more no shade. His hair looks exactly the same on his wedding day as it did in every interview, every photograph for the show. So I just think that's how his hair looks. I think he might be a little bit delusional about it. His suit is really nice though. I do like the color of the suits. Nice suit, beautiful suit.
Great gowns, beautiful gowns.
Ashley, however, stunning, beautiful, gorgeous. Love her dress, love her dress. She looks so beautiful in it. As Jake is standing at the altar, he turns around and he says, "Oh, she's stunning," as a woman walks towards him. But that woman was a bridesmaid. It was not actually Ashley.
Oh, she's stunning.
So we're off to a little bit of a rough start. But when Ashley does turn up, he ends up having an even better reaction to seeing her. So that's a relief, okay? That's definitely a relief.
She's gorgeous. Like, wow.
There is a mutual attraction to each other, which is wonderful. They are both quirky. They have a good sense of humor, which is also fantastic. And I think this matching, not for Ashley, but more so for Jake, it just shows that there is definitely someone out there for everybody. There is. Their vows are very sweet. They're full of jokes, but also laced with sincerity and hopefulness for their future. And while I am not the biggest fan of Jake, I can see them working out if he is even a remotely decent man, but I will never hold out hope for a remotely decent man on one of these shows. They rarely ever turn out to be decent men. The reception goes pretty well. There's not a whole lot of drama, so that's the end of that. And the next couple for this episode will be Jeff and Ree. Like I said, the next couple to get married is Jeff and Ree. I really should have put Jeff and Ree on the side that I put Jake and Ashley, because I quite like them and I have a lot of faith that they're going to work out, to be completely honest with you, because I don't really see a whole lot of drama there in terms of merging lives, but we'll get into that. But yeah, I should have switched their positions, but just know that I do like Jeff and Ree. I didn't mean to put them on the cursed side. I was just trying to balance out the chaos we got going on. They are both very kind people. Jeff seems to be honestly the most mature, stable, and ready for this experiment out of all of the men, so I have high hopes for this couple. They seem to be the most compatible besides Jamie and Dave, of course. They're both very chill, very relaxed people, but stable and ready for a deep love, a healthy marriage, and everything that follows. Now, I want y'all to remember the name of the show, right? It's Married at First Sight. That means that none of these people are supposed to know each other. They have never met each other before. But that's not the case for Jeff and Ree. That's not the case whatsoever. They recognize each other right away because they have dated in the past. They have been intimate and everything. Ree even recognizes some of Jeff's friends.
Oh my God. Hi, Ray.
Hi, Jeff.
Yes, Yes, these two are exes who are now married, which what an odd turn of events. Now, I cannot tell if this is fate or some sort of devilish curse. I suppose only time will tell. They both cannot believe it. Rhea quite literally stops walking down the aisle when she sees him. Production honestly really shit the bed this season, because how is Married at First Sight gonna cast not one, but two couples who know each other and have dated in the real world and have previously been together unsuccessfully? How are y'all gonna do that? They both make it clear that nothing substantial happened in their breakup. They both had just gotten out of long-term relationships, so they didn't want to hop right back into anything. They ended on good terms. They've actually hung out since they broke up. They've gotten coffee together a bunch of times, and they even ran a half marathon together. So like, they're cool, they're cordial, it's all copacetic. They both seem to agree that things just kind of fizzled out, but there's no animosity on either side. Their vows are a little bit awkward and tense, full of tense laughter, because their vows were written for strangers. They weren't written for each other.
Well, no introduction now. We know each other. I'm Jeff. Since we've just met, but okay, we'll start that again.
If they are both committed to giving this a try, then I can genuinely see them working out, since they already get along quite well, and the attraction is obviously mutual if their coochies were bumping. However, the vows were sweet nonetheless, and they both agree that had the timing been a little bit better when they dated in the real world, then they likely would have still been together at this point. Throughout their reception, Rhea and Jeff just continue to get closer to one another, and things go off without a hitch, just perfect. We then head back to Sierah and Billy, and we find out that they have been intimate. Sierah is very happy with Billy's willy. Her words, not mine.
I saw Billy's willy last night.
She calls him an impressive man, which, okay, Billy, we see you, we see you. Adrian and Awhina, of course, have been intimate. That is a shock to quite literally nobody. And I just wish that they would have discussed the more pressing issues here, because I fear intimacy will make it much harder for Awhina to walk away if or when she needs to, for the sake of herself and her son. Karina and Paul admit to being intimate. Finally, we knew it was coming.
Yes, there was intimacy with Paul last night. Twice, 2 times, yeah.
Ashley and Jake and Jeff and Rhea are also getting on very well on their honeymoons. Jamie and Dave are canoeing on their honeymoon, and it's not going very well. However, they are genuinely having a lot of fun. Dave is really into Jamie, and it's so nice that the feelings aren't one-sided, because I find that sometimes women with really big, bold personalities and a lot of confidence end up in these partnerships where they end up liking their partner a lot more than their partner likes them, but it's not often communicated or expressed to them, so they don't really know that's the case. However, in this situation, so far at least, it seems to be completely mutual, and I really love that for Jamie. Dave seems to have liked her just as much as she liked him from the beginning. So at this point, we're catching up on everybody on their honeymoons. Everybody is doing well, except for, of course, Katie and Tim, and actually Adrian and Awhina, but we'll get to them in a second. Katie is trying her hardest. However, I do not think Tim is trying whatsoever. Katie is asking him questions and trying to engage in conversation with him, and Tim will not even ask her the exact same questions back. So she asks him, oh, do you like fishing? He says, no, not really.
Do you fish?
No, I've never fished, really.
He could have asked her, oh, do you like fishing? He doesn't even do that. That's like, to me, in my mind, that's reflexes. That's reflexual instincts there, buddy. That's not even like a real in-depth conversation that you're trying to avoid with her. Also, in the interview, after this whole interaction we see between them, he goes out of his way to make it seem like he's not physically attracted to Katie, but he's attracted to Katie's personality.
There's definitely an attraction there, but it's definitely an attraction for the person she is more than the overall package, I think.
And again, I think this is him just bullshitting and trying to be the quote-unquote good guy, because remember, not long ago, he said he preferred quiet women. Katie is not a quiet woman. Literally everything he typically goes after, everything he's attracted to is the opposite of Katie. So I don't know why he is lying. I don't know why he's lying to himself and lying to her, although I don't really think he's lying to himself. I think he's just saying this because he thinks it makes him look better, when in reality it makes him look worse, because he's kind of giving her false hope, but then getting disgusted by her when she wants to approach him to even just have a conversation. all just very awkward, and Tim is acting as if Katie is holding him at gunpoint, holding him hostage, forcing him to be here, forcing him to answer her questions, and that's just not the case whatsoever, because he is actively choosing to be there still. He could leave, just like Mr. Elliot, he could, but he's choosing to be there. Katie tries to encourage him to answer her questions in like full sentences, and maybe, you know, even ask her some questions in return, but Tim is not doing that. He's not doing that at all. And yet he is still adamant that he's trying.
Do you think you are trying?
Yeah, I definitely am.
I don't know what trying looks like to him, but it doesn't look like that to me. Hours later, after their little walk, Katie confronts him about all of his BS, okay? She asks him what the f he's doing. What the f is up, Kyle? What's going on here? Like, what the hell are we doing? And Tim continues to give her absolutely nothing. Katie says that this whole situation is leaving her feeling very confused, and Tim says that he's genuinely enjoying getting to know Katie. I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. He acts like he's being tortured this whole time he's alone with this woman. But he then says that he's struggling because he's not attracted to her. He claims that he wants to be more affectionate with her, which I call bullshit. I don't think so.
I'm definitely enjoying getting to know you, but I'm still struggling with not progressing like I would like to, wanting to like be more affectionate and those sort of things.
I'm not buying it. I think he just doesn't want to look like a jackass on TV. Katie calls him out and says that Tim keeps claiming that there isn't a spark because he's trying to find a nice way of saying that he is not attracted to Katie, nor will he ever be attracted to Katie. I personally think she hit the nail right on the head. I think that's exactly what's going on, but Tim is so caught up in this nice guy image that he's not going to admit that. Instead of just having a conversation about it, Tim just shuts down by saying that they're going to have to agree to disagree. What are you talking about? Agree to disagree about what? You told her you're not attracted to her. What's there to... Okay. He then tries to like clap back at Katie by saying that his type isn't just physical. He says, quote unquote, there's more to people than just physical attraction.
It's a bit unfair what he said.
What's unfair about what I said?
Saying that's just a physical attraction for me. Like, there's a lot more to people than that.
No shit.
Yeah, Tim, we know that. But do you? I don't think he knows that. Someone should tell him. Because he really doesn't seem to know that, and it's starting to piss me off. Katie makes it clear that when he saw her, he decided he wasn't attracted to her and made up his mind that he was not going to actually try in this marriage. And he says, in what way?
Don't piss me off, for real.
I don't think she could have been any more clear. I really don't. Why are you trying to force this woman to outline in grave detail how and why you do not want to be married to her and are repulsed by her touch? How fucking embarrassing would that be? And you know it, so why does she have to say it? Katie leaves the room and she is sobbing because Tim sucks so bad. She is heartbroken because once again, she is being rejected because of her looks. Tim has absolutely no desire to check in on her and make sure she's okay, and the producers are trying to encourage him to do that, but he just shrugs his shoulders and says that things were going to blow up eventually.
I think she's pretty upset.
Yeah, it was all going to eventually blow up.
It seems like he was poking at her, waiting for her to do something so he could position himself as the victim, and this is validated when he says that Katie has betrayed him and made him question why she is there. What the f?
I don't want to sit here and say bad things about it. A bit of betrayal. That's made me question why she's here.
Question why she's there when you said you're not attracted to her, and she's questioning why you are not trying when you said you're not attracted to her and you don't want to do anything with her and you're not even asking her questions, ask questions about herself? But she did something to harm you? I can't. Someone tell the thumb to get the f together. This guy's just a professional victim and I'm truly sick of it. But that's where we end with them for the night. Thank God. We then meet back up with Adrian and Awhina. And remember I said things didn't end well for them this episode? Yeah, we're about to get into it. So as they head out to a beach dinner, they are full of affection, of course, holding hands, kissing, the whole 9 yards. He grabs her back in for some more kisses. Things seem to be going well. The chemistry is there, but things take a turn for the worst when they are forced to finally have the hard conversations about things they have been avoiding like the plague. The experts sent them a honeymoon box full of questions that they claim are designed to help them get to know each other better and sooner rather than later.
Purpose is to expedite the process of our newlyweds getting to know each other to get deeper, faster.
However, to me, it's a box of mess. They're messy and they want to get into the mess faster than the couples are pacing themselves to get into it. The first few questions are lighthearted and fun. However, when Awhina's son comes up, things take a turn for the worst. Adrian says that he wanted to share that experience of having a first child with somebody, and he then says that he doesn't know if he could love Awhina's son as much as he would love his own biological children.
If I'm being 100% honest, I don't know if I can love like my kids as much as your kid.
While the honesty is good, I guess, because this allows Awhina to have all of the information and make an ultimate decision for herself, this to me amplifies why these conversations should have been had earlier on, and the experts should have known about all of these things about Adrian prior to matching him with a single mother. Working with a single mom for views and drama is not the vibe. It's not the vibe at all. Adrian's honesty clearly upsets and bothers Awhina, and I cannot say that I blame her. It would be deeply troubling to hear your new husband say that he doesn't know if he could love your child as one of his own, because in my mind, that's the expectation of a step-parent, like quite literally the bare minimum that's expected when you are a step-parent is to love that child as much as you would love your own. Awhina says that her and her son are a package deal.
My son is a huge part of my life, and he's so important to me. We're a package deal.
So, however, I feel like if that were true, then she would have walked away from Adrian right in this moment. Awhina then gets upset with Adrian's stance simply because it is not hers. And while I understand where she is coming from, she cannot be upset if he does not see things in the same way that she does. Do not make me side with a man, and especially do not make me side with this man. Please, I beg of you, Awhina. She says that her stepfather came into her life when she was about 3 years old, and she calls him dad. He's always acted as her father. It is his daughter, right? So he loves her as such. So she is struggling to understand why Adrian cannot and is not willing to step into that same role. Adrian says that he is open to the idea, and if he were not open, he would have left by now. Awhina and Adrian then get very snippy with each other, and Awhina asks what's the point of pursuing someone when there's an issue as big as this that you cannot get over.
We've had a great time.
What's the point of pursuing someone that has these issues that you know you can't get over?
Because I never said I wouldn't get over them.
I just think that this is one of those things, it's a core incompatibility. I don't think that this is one of those things that you get over or you work through, because I think this is always gonna, even if Adrian changes his mind and he no longer feels that way, I think it's always gonna be in the back of Awhina's mind, and she would question leaving him alone with the son, allowing him to be responsible for her son in any way, because he might not love the son as much as she loves the son. And she's talking about we're a package deal. I don't disagree. You and your children are absolutely a package deal. They absolutely should be. However, when you go into a show like this, you're understanding that production might with you in your life a little bit, and they don't really care if the man that they end up marrying you to is really invested in the well-being of you and your son. They want a good show. Awhina is clearly upset, and instead of comforting her, Adrian, he tells her to smile because it's free.
Smile. It's free.
What?
Yeah, I don't like that at all. I don't like this man at all. Like, at all. Because why would you say that? He's not feeling the severity of this. He's not feeling the weight of this situation. And it seems like he's trying to make light of the situation, which I believe is just insensitive and a very dick move, because in this moment, she needs some sort of comfort, some sort of reassurance. And he's like, smile. Be easy, breezy, beautiful cover girl. Let's be happy. Life is good. You just told her you don't know if you can love her son as much as you would love your own kids that y'all have together. I wouldn't be smiling either. Awhina says she doesn't feel as if her child or anybody else's children would be some sort of obstacle to get over. So it's heartbreaking to hear Adrian hypothetically treating her son in this way. She actually decides to take a beat instead of lashing out, so she steps away from the table to kind of process everything that just happened. In the next episode, we have the final 2 weddings, and let me tell you, one of these couples is definitely a hot mess, strictly together for entertainment, and I am not mad about it whatsoever. I'm not even mad at the experts about it because they both suck in my opinion, and I'm gonna give you a little sneak peek of that mess because boy is it ever a mess.
I'm gonna dip here, ready? The wedding crash of the year.
Everyone's laughing. He dropped me and I hit my head.
Yes, besties, I know I'm leaving you with another cliffhanger. You are going to have to wait for that one. This video is long enough as it is, but know that waiting for the next batch of episodes will not nearly be as long as the wait for this batch of episodes because boy, it's juicy and I've got to talk about it with y'all. And it's good to know that you guys are just as invested in the series as I am, okay? Here's my wall of horror. Surprisingly, knocking on some wood for me. None of these pictures fell down in the time that it took me to film this after the first segment, but I thank you so much for being here. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, then you could put a little smile emoji in the comments for stupid ass Adrian telling Awhina to smile when she's clearly heartbroken by this information, okay? If you liked the video, make sure to like the video, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell notification so you are aware of every single time that I upload. If there's another series you'd like to see me cover, you can drop it down in the comments or you can leave me a DM here on Instagram. Make sure to follow me on Instagram because I've been posting some stuff over there and I'm putting the feelers out because I'm trying to do something. I'm not going to say too much about it, but I'm trying to do something and I'm getting your input on things over there for video purposes. Okay, so make sure to check that out. I thank you guys so much for being here and supporting everything that I do, and I will see you in the next video.